Well, the father of one of the victims of the Takata scandal has urged Australians not to be complacent and to check whether their cars are involved in the recall. Alexander Brangwyn lost his daughter Jewel in 2014 when shrapnel from a faulty airbag in the rental car that she was driving punctured her carotid artery during a car accident. He has since become an advocate for consumer rights. He says she was an accomplished and honourable young woman.
Well, I raised her as a single parent. I had custody of her. I never missed a minute of her life. We were close as can be. That's why I moved out here, to be closer to her. She was an extraordinary young lady. Again, K through 12, she went through without a problem. She was a champion gymnast and a state champion. She was kind. She got her undergrad degree in journalism and her master's degree in journalism. She had articles published on cyberbullying. She was always for the underdog. She was aesthetically beautiful, but even more beautiful inside. We used to have a saying that I would always say to her, when I grow up, I want to be like you. And she would say, Dad, you're the biggest kid I know. This was an incredibly close relationship that was taken from me. I had her 26 years, 11 months, about 15 minutes. And quite frankly, I was devastated by it. But in her name and her honor, and the kind of person that she was, I wanted to spread awareness and immortalize her, to let the world know what was lost and who she was. And
Alexander, how severe was the accident?
It was a fender bender. It's questionable that the airbag shouldn't have even gone off. Very low damage and impact. My lawyers were shocked and astonished, actually, that the airbag went off in the cabin of the car.
And what was the process for you after the accident? What did you do? Well,
obviously, I had to go through all the medical aspects of things. I had to make some critical decisions under very stressful circumstances. And then I was a law professor in New York, so I did have legal knowledge and legal background that something was wrong, particularly a tort, particularly something that would involve breach duty of care, injury causation analysis. So I had to hire a very high-powered legal team.
You took a wrongful death case against the companies. What did you learn about these companies during that process?
They were, they covered up information for 10 years that these faulty airbags were operating in these cars. These airbags that were made with ammonia nitrate that would explode. In my daughter's case, the shrapnel metal exploded and cut her carotid artery. I learned the incompetence of the recall system, blatant incompetence. I learned systemically that it was a failed process. My daughter died in a rental car, so that was the first in the state of California and in the United States, actually. Takata had this covered up for over 10 years.
Did you get any admissions from the company during the legal process?
Well, I have to be careful what I say because I had a settlement, and some things I just can't disclose. But after I did several interviews, I did an interview for CBS here, a national interview, that coincided with the Senate hearings. After I did an NBC interview, representatives that represented Takata pretty much admitted that they were at fault.
So this was a recall that started in 2008 and your daughter died in 2014. Why was this car not fixed, the airbag replaced by then?
As I said earlier, it was a rental car of salvage titled. So the rental car company, because of the incompetence of the recall system, for example, if you owned that car and I bought that car, if there was a recall notice sent, it would have been sent to you and not me. So I would have had no way of knowing that this car was damaged or could put lives in jeopardy.
This was such a difficult time for you. What made you decide that you wanted to advocate on behalf of others?
Well, I wanted to take a tragic situation and turn a positive out of it to save lives and bring awareness. Because one of the things that we discovered through litigation and research is that people were unaware of this travesty that was happening to millions and millions of cars that these manufacturers were putting out. She had spent a week with me prior to that, her passing. And she was supposed to, one of her last words were, "I love my life, Dad, and I'll see you on the 15th. Obviously, that day never happened due to blatant incompetence and unconscionable unethical behavior.
Australia is now being caught up in what's going to be one of the biggest global recalls. What advice would you give people here about what to do?
Well, you have to do your due diligence. You have to check, first of all, you have to challenge and ask manufacturers, if you're purchasing cars or whomever you're getting the cars from, are there any recalls on it? In our system here, we have a government website where you can match the VIN number. I believe you have something similar now that's mandatory in your country with the ACCC. But you can't trust the manufacturers, you can't trust the corporations in whole. You have to do your due diligence, you have to be assertive, you have to be proactive as opposed to reactionary.